So, it continues. Hello there, welcome back to the Writing Advice Q&A. My camera has not been cooperating today at all, but you know what? The show must go on, so today I'm going to be featuring one of the questions sent by a viewer just like you. Camera, please work. In the case of today's question though, we're actually going to be covering a question that I got many times in different ways from a bunch of viewers, because as of the day this video is going up, NaNoWriMo November is over. Words were written, battles were fought, some succeeded, some failed by the arbitrary word count, but regardless of that, we're gonna be talking about the concept of failing NaNoWriMo and what to do afterwards. But before I go on anywhere, allow me to remind you as always that I answer your questions. I make it a point to reply to every question that I get in the comments down below, and it gets added to the pool of questions to get featured. So if you have a writing advice question, make sure to leave it in the comments down below. As for the time being, I would like to remind you, as always, that the following is merely just my advice, my opinion, and what works for me. Don't take it as gospel, instead take it as the ramblings of a silly person who looks a little bit, or rather precisely like this. Today's question, I honestly got this question several times, especially on Tumblr. Let's talk about it. The basic gist of the question goes a little bit like this. Hey Max, I tried, but I couldn't write 50,000 words in NaNoWriMo. I'm the only one of my friends who didn't make it, and I'm feeling really sad right now. What should I do? This here is a feeling that a lot of writers get, especially near the end of November, and right at the very end, especially those who were close to completing the arbitrary goal of 50,000 words. As for myself, I guess I can take a moment here to give you a little bit of an update. I myself didn't actually manage to hit 50k in November. If I must elaborate, November was pretty silly and pretty crazy. And I had actually, I'm looking at my calendar so you can see it, I had allocated time to catch up. I made it to like 40k, and I knew that I could take it over to 50, but the very last 3 days of November, I had to do recordings, and those can't get put aside. But I thought, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna hit 50k, big deal. I'll just be writing on December 1st, like I was planning to do so anyway. As I said at the very beginning of this entire journey, and if you didn't watch my very first videos on NaNoWriMo, then that's entirely okay. But what I want you to keep in mind is that although National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo makes it seem as though the challenge is about an arbitrary number of words to be written every night, or adding up to a certain number at the end of November. It's really not about that. As I've said in the past, and I'm gonna say it again, the whole purpose of this is to develop the habit to sit down and write, the discipline to sit down, make sacrifices with your time and personal time, and push things aside, especially the little annoying things like our self-doubt, our worries, our fears, to sit down and get the writing done, because that's how books get done. That's how you actually do the thing. People will tell you about inspiration and practices and how to outline a novel and how to tell the most effective character possible and how to make a good plot twist and all of that junk. It doesn't matter, because if you don't sit down and actually get the writing done, all of that will be for nothing. Ultimately, for me, NaNoWriMo has always been this really subtle trick, sleight of hand of tricking people into sitting down and writing by giving them this solid, concrete, I guess, end destination of 50,000 words, which, by the way, a novel does not make. But ultimately, this number of words doesn't really matter. Also, please excuse the dog just going back and forth in circles in the background. I don't know what she's doing other than interrupting me. It doesn't really matter. I want you to stop for a second. Anyone out there who participated in NaNoWriMo and didn't make it to 50k, myself included, stop for a second and ask yourself, is life gonna keep going on after this? Will life go on? Well, of course, life goes on. You keep on writing. That story that you began is not gonna get finished by itself. And I must assume that by now you have realized that. You know, sitting down to write is hard. It's hard work. But it's also fun, and it's entertaining. And I hope that those of you who pushed through the month and got any number of words done found that flicker of flame, that excitement, when you hold onto a story and you just let it show you around, and the act of discovery that comes from there. That's always, for me, the most fun part. The instance I mentioned during my small updates, the instance in which the characters began to talk with their real words, not words that I had put in their mouth, or words that made sense for them, but rather the words that were natural to them, the words that were indeed their own. Those moments in which the serendipitous moment of discovery appears to discover itself. The moments in which the story makes sense, even when you don't try to make it make sense. Those are the wonderful moments of discovering the story that I work for. And through this month, in my own personal experience, I had fun. It was rough. It was my first month writing in a long while. After a slew of life getting in the way, I managed to sit down and get a lot of writing done. And it was fun. And I enjoyed it. And for you, writerly friend, if this was your first NaNoWriMo experience, or your second, or your third, and you push yourself really hard to the point of burnout, I want you to take this experience to heart and remember, it's not about words. It's not about words. It's about writing, about telling that story. NaNoWriMo sells itself to be this idea of a challenge of words, but it's not that. It's a really cute trick to get you to write, to inspire you, to make you realize, I can write a novel. It's as easy as 50,000 words, and as hard as 50,000 words, but you can do it. And also, being entirely honest, November was bad. This November was actually like the worst month I've had in a long while myself, particularly my personal experience, though I think we can all agree that I'm happy this month is over. Remember, dear writerly friend, if you failed NaNoWriMo, you didn't fail anything. You're not a lesser writer because you didn't complete it. I didn't complete NaNoWriMo on my first time. I don't remember if I did it on my second time, but most importantly, I didn't do it this year. But it doesn't matter. I'm gonna be writing in December. And after that, because this book has to get finished. This book's not gonna get finished by itself, and taking a break won't make that faster, so gonna get back into writing. You already have the discipline. You already built the habit, no matter how little you think it may be. You got the habit right there. That's the secret. Sitting down and getting the writing done. For anyone out there who feels as though they got a really small number of words, 30,000, 20,000, 10,000, 5,000 words, those are words that you wouldn't have done otherwise. And that right there is a treasure. I want you to remember that no matter what anyone tells you, at the end of the day, writing is not a contest. It's not a race. It's not you versus them. It's about you. Your story. Your writing. The stories that you and only you can tell. So you may be asking yourself, I failed NaNoWriMo. Now what? I'll tell you now what. Keep writing. Okay? Okay. And that's about it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed my answer, and I hope that if anything, I gave you another point of view. For the time being, I would love to hear what you have to say. I make it a point to reply to every comment that I get, questions and the like. I make it a point. So if you go out of your way to leave a comment, there may be a little reply from yours truly coming your way. For the time being, I want to thank you for watching. New closing! And the dog is still interrupting me, of course. Thanks, doggo. New closing. There should be a link to subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate the sub. You will never miss one of my videos ever again. There should be a link to a playlist. There's over 100 writing advice videos, so you should go check that out. A link to my Patreon if you would like to make sure that I can continue on making these videos for the foreseeable future. Check out the links in the description down below. There's a link to my Patreon and a link to treat me to a coffee if you would be so inclined to do so. But for the time being, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for tagging along. And to all of you out there who are feeling a little sad after November, keep on writing. Your story is not over yet. You just gotten started. You better finish what you began. So, keep on writing, writerly friend. Keep on writing.